And joining me now from Adelaide is South Australian Labor MP Nick Champion. Mr Champion, thank you so much for making some time for us.
Good evening.
Firstly, can you tell us what the weather is doing, given tonight's storm was supposed to be as bad or worse than last night's?
Well, it's terrible, there's no doubt about that, and particularly in the north of my electorate, there's flooded rivers, there's storm surges, tidal surges along the coast. Roads blocked. So it's a very serious state of affairs, and the South Australian Government met tonight and declared a state of emergency. So we are a state that's still facing some very serious challenges because of this extreme weather event. And I guess I'd just call on everybody, particularly politicians based in Canberra, to stop unnecessary debates that we could have at another time and focus at the task in hand, which is keeping everybody safe and everybody secure.
What, you think it's too soon to have this political debate while there is this unfolding?
Well, I've got to thank all the power workers and the emergency workers, all the police and fireys who are out tonight in the weather, making sure that the community's safe and that the power continues to run. And we should be backing those people in because they're making a magnificent effort. And the normal sort of protocol for emergency events for these things is for politicians to focus at the task in hand and don't sort of wander off into extraneous debates, unnecessary debates that we shouldn't be having at the height of an emergency.
Well, you've got Senator Nick Xenophon saying heads should roll over this. Do you think that he's right?
No, I don't. Look, I think for Senator Xenophon, for the Prime Minister, for Liberal Party politicians to wander off into an unnecessary debate about power generation when we all know that what's caused this problem has been a catastrophic weather event, an unheralded weather event, and a problem in transmission of power, not in the generation of power. And so it's been, really disappointing and completely unnecessary to having a debate about wind turbines when we have a state of emergency here in South Australia. And we've got to remember that this is a very serious storm. It has a very serious effect. People are sandbagging pubs and homes in my hometown, and so people should start, I think, behaving with a bit more decorum, not talk the state down, and back the state in as it moves into what is a serious weather event.
So just to be clear, Labor would oppose the Coalition's effort, any effort, to decrease the state renewable energy targets as they are at this stage?
Well, it's the wrong argument to be having, the wrong debate to be having at the height of an emergency, but obviously blaming renewables when it is obvious to everybody, experts and, the man in the street, the woman in the street, that what has caused this blackout has been the weather event. And anybody who's sitting in the middle of it, lighting a candle, knows that it's the weather that's caused this blackout. And we should be commending the power industry workers who got the system running again in a pretty incredible feat to get it running so quickly with such reliability. And those people should be celebrated and lauded as doing a really great job rather than being criticised from Canberra News Studios.
Yeah, but just putting aside the weather event, which I think both the Minister and yourself agree was a weather event that caused the blackout. But before this, do you agree at least that there is a challenge with the intermittent nature and the increasing use of intermittent renewable energy in that mixture?
Well, look, all of South Australia's problems stem back to the privatisation of a monopoly, and that was done by a Liberal government some time ago, and they failed in that process to make sufficient interconnection with the national grid, and that has been, basically all of South Australia's problems. We're at the end of a national energy grid. We have one interconnection point, and that makes us vulnerable. It would make us vulnerable regardless of whether renewables came on stream, because old brown coal plants, which are 50 years old, like the one in Hazelwood, like the one in Port Augusta, were always going to close, and they always had to be replaced with something newer and greener. So to have this debate when it's still facing storm conditions, I've got to say it's pretty disappointing and completely unnecessary. And we should be focusing at the job on hand, because every moment we talk about this, people aren't paying attention to the important emergency broadcasts put out by the Premier, the Police Commissioner, the Chief Executive of the State Emergency Services. So I just urge every, Canberra-based politician, all those people running around, Canberra trying to put their head on TV, to just pull their heads in and let the Premier and the state government and those power industry workers do their jobs.
All right, Nick Champion, thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks, mate.